And a good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, General Manager at WEIU. We're going to talk all things Charleston today. We have Mayor Brandon Combs here. Welcome, Dr. Combs.
Howdy, Jeff.
City Manager, Administrator Scott Smith, also here, if I can talk.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Glad to be here.
We'll start with congratulations to you, just
Thank
freshly
you.
off of marriage.
Yeah.
Too bad you couldn't get anybody in that beach photo.
Well, I think there were 37 or 38 in there.
That was a heck of a picture, man. So congrats on all
Thank you,
that.
sir.
So let's just, Dr. Combs says it's been a while. I'm going to let him go first a little bit. Let's just talk about what's new here in Charleston, and we'll get into some of the plans, what's happening.
It just...
You said you needed 4 of you right now.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on, and I know Scott can attest to this. There's just a lot going on within town. I mean, we see what's going on in Lincoln with Dunkin' Donuts. There's new things that are going on up at the square. It's just a lot of work, and then we got the sports complex stuff going, and it's just always something. And right now it seems like this summer it's flying by. And there's just a ton of stuff that's happening. That's just going on around town. A lot of good stuff. I mean, nothing that I can come up with that that's a negative thing. It's just a lot of busy work and just a lot of things going on. I mean, it's a good time.
Yeah, like the mayor mentioned, some development activity on Lincoln Avenue, which is great to see. And I know, Jeff, you always like to prod me for info.
I'll ask more stuff as we get on.
Couple more things that are in the pipeline at a couple of locations that I personally am excited about. We're not quite to the finish line yet, but are working on a couple of other big developments on Lincoln. Of course, the folks that have the hibachi. Have taken over the old Thai food place and have given that a facelift over the last week or so. It looks fantastic. And like the mayor mentioned, Dunkin' Donuts, they're doing a lot of infrastructure work, parking lots and things like that right now that the old credit union won, so that's exciting. And then, of course, all hands on deck down at Sister City Park Phase 2. The maintenance building's going up. A lot of things you can't see from the road, underground utility and public infrastructure work that we've been doing that you just can't appreciate unless you were physically on site. Our crews were also out at Locks Road building the new restroom facility there along the bike path, which if you drive by there now, it looks done kind of from the outside, but we still got to finish the interior space, but we can't be in 2 places at once. So guys are down at Sister City kind of getting things going there, and once we get the building shelled up far enough, then this fall they'll head back out there and start working on that.
Our city offices, is there still COVID rules in place? I know Matt Toon still has COVID rules in place, or is everything open?
Our building is open for the most part, we're still following the appropriate rules and procedures for meetings and committee meetings and all those types of things, but right now our doors are open.
As you look towards the rest of the summer where you still have nice weather, what are some of the other things that are kind of on the docket for the city of Charleston to get done?
So our public works crews, as I mentioned, have kind of been all hands on deck down at Sister City, but as we've been able to complete certain phases of that work, we've now rolled them out to do other things. So we've got a crew over doing the underground storm and sanitary work on 15th Street in conjunction with the project that the school district's working on. Maybe some folks may not know that school district kind of owns to where the old bus building used to be, kind of by the middle school, and then we own out to Harrison Avenue. So our guys are getting in there, and we're working with the contractors there at the school to get underground utilities in, and then where the school finishes their pavement work, then we'll pave all the way out to East Harrison or out to Harrison Street Road. So that'll be a really nice segment along the backside of the football complex, and really be an improvement there along Smith Drive. Got that going on. Pool's got a few more weeks. Things kind of slow down when the fair gets here, and that's rolling in on Sunday, so I know a lot of people are excited about that. And so the fair will open up, I believe it's Sunday. So a lot going on in and around the fair this coming weekend and starting this weekend, so things will be busy in town with the fair. Of course, we've got a lot of students moving back in right now, coming back to EIU, so our water department is crazy busy. Heather reported on that this morning. We've got guys out doing concrete patching all over town, so we're busy, and it's crazy because I said this to you probably over the last 2 years. COVID, I know a lot of people slowed down, had to close their doors, and not saying we didn't have our struggles, but I feel like the last 2.5, 3 years, we just have literally been busier than we've ever been.
Hey, it's funny. COVID has stopped some people, and other people are just moved forward.
Well, I mean, kudos to Scott and his team, too. I mean, you hear me say this every time I'm on here, how wonderful and how blessed we are here in Charleston with the team that we have. But, I mean, the guys just kept on, the men and women up there, they just kept on working. I mean, yeah, we had our precautions in place, but no one really skipped a beat. Everyone just kept on going. And with all this work that's going on, Scott and I both, our street and utility people have done just a phenomenal job with all the tasks that, they've been put on. And I know Scott would echo the same thing. He has, and it's so amazing that we have crews that are able to go in and do a lot of this work that not everyone sees as being done, but it's a huge benefit to the city and to the taxpayers of the city as well. So
in the last 3 weeks have not exactly been the most pleasant to work in.
No, they haven't.
No.
I wouldn't want to be out
Steve
there.
Pamperin was so Steve and his two inspectors been doing a lot of work out there with our guys, and Kurt Busher said he'd never, our public works director said he'd never hung a truss before, so he was out helping the guys hang trusses last week, and it was hot, and again, some of the guys out of the office and the engineers and our planner and some of the other guys have been out working on deck, all hands on deck kind of out at Sister City. And it's good to have that collaboration with our workforce, but they can also see that we're willing to come out and help too. And so I think, to the mayor's point, everybody's been busy and lending a hand where they can.
Kurt should have waited till this week.
Well, he should have. He should have waited till this week. So,
Come on, Kurt.
But Kurt would go, I don't care if it's 20 below or 110. I've seen Busher in a lot of situations over the years that I think to myself, I'm not sure I would have done that. But Kurt's not bashful about getting in the muck. I'll tell you that.
You talked a little bit, Dr. Combs, about the new sports complex. It's the most talked about thing going on in Coles County, the proposed one in Mattoon. Your thoughts from the city of Charleston, where you guys can benefit, and your thoughts on whether or not you think it's going to happen and should happen.
What's that, the one in Mattoon?
Yeah.
I hear different things. I'm not going to comment a whole lot. Obviously, I mean, if it happens, it's going to be good for the whole county. Like I said, I hear different things from both sides. I know some people that are on that board, and I don't feel at liberty to say much, but I will say this, that obviously anything that comes like that, it's like, things that could happen even at our sports complex out there at Sister City, it's going to benefit the county too. People are going to have to use hotels in Mattoon and everything else, as well as, Charleston. And there's going to be an overflow. I mean, if that sports complex, when it happens or however it happens, there's going to be an overflow both ways. Because, I mean, I don't think one city can handle.
I think it's going to be even bigger.
We're so close together at this point that we'll see. I mean, and that's something that we've discussed, is we're going to see things happening on both sides of the county due to both of the things that are going on.
And what's the estimated end time for Sister City to be finalized?
So we're hoping we've got the first tournament slated for next fall, which will be a high school Trojan Red and Gold Classic, which I believe we haven't held for years.
But it was always 1,000 degrees when you did it.
It was. When the school would host that, it was always, it's amazing. It'd be September, and you think it'd be a little cooler, and it'd be just hot or raining every time that tournament would come into town. So I know the AD at the high school's been working with our soccer board and with Steve Pamperin and Diane Ratliff, and we're real excited. So we're going to host both. They're bringing back both the girls and the boys red and gold tournaments. Now, boys and girls soccer are held at different spring and fall. So we're going to start with the fall tournament, and then they're already booking teams for the spring tournament as well. And then our soccer affiliate through the recreation department will begin to work with Diane, our tourism office, and the boards on hopefully hosting some additional youth soccer tournaments. I can't get into the weeds as far as what kind of teams we're going to chase after and what kind of tournaments and things of that nature, but we'll have different age groups. We're going to have 4 what I would call championship level high school collegiate fields on the far south end, and then the fields as you go to the north are for the smaller age groups.
Well, it's a real good time for that too, because I think the way the Mattoon's positioning their new dog park, it's going to take away some soccer space over there for at least the time being. So it'll be a good time to have extra fields in Coles County.
Yeah.
When we talk about working together and everything. Now you mentioned first the new businesses potentially coming to Charleston. So you said you can't name names and stuff, but do we have a time limit of when maybe we'll know more about things?
I hope to know a little bit more about the closing on a couple of key properties, which is hopefully going to happen, I think, within the next 30 to 45 days. Now, again, these things take time. I think I jokingly told you years ago that one of the first meetings I had with the Walker family on the old former Will Walkers and that complex out there regarding the county market development happened, in early 2004, and we didn't see construction until, almost 10 years later, So these things take time. But I'm optimistic, at least with these two developments, that progress will happen much sooner than that. Again, there's some multiple properties involved, and so. But I feel pretty good about both of them.
Because the first thing, Hibachi was going to move to pizza, right? And then that fell through, and they moved to the was it Tiger? I always get these Thai
Yeah,
places.
it was one of the Thai restaurants. Yeah.
And I still think there's some folks looking at the former Pizza Hut property. We get calls. Steve get calls on any and all of the vacant property. Really, we've had a lot of calls on several locations actually outside of. Even these two areas that I'm talking about. And
hotels maybe in Charleston?
Well, I can't say hotels, but I think maybe by the time I get back here to visit with you again, I'll have some more information.
All right.
Yeah. But it's just good to see these things, interest and doing these things, and these are some larger scale projects. These aren't just I don't want to downplay any of them.
Like a small hair salon.
These are larger scale things. And the other thing that talking to one of the people in passing, we also everyone's watching prices of things.
Right.
So what could be let's just say a $5 million project now could be a $10 million project. So there's a lot of moving parts in this, but like Scott said, I think that these some of the ones that we're discussing or thinking of will probably happen regardless of the prices of things. These are things that people want to move on. So
that's nice. That's good to hear. The tour to Charleston, I know, is coming again next month. So what do you know about that, and what can people expect there? Because that thing keeps growing and growing.
So the committee, of course, out of the Chamber of Commerce, and again working with some of our folks too across the street over at City Hall, been working really hard to get everything organized and get the volunteers, and the committees are working on getting their volunteers lined up, registrations going. Doug and his team over the Chamber are hot and heavy on that, so we're looking forward to that. Having a big turnout, and we're excited. That was a key event for the Chamber, and again with COVID and everything else, we're looking forward to maybe having a little bit larger turnout than maybe we've had in the past. So.
When Sister City wraps up, if I could talk, and then is the city looking at what their next major project for infrastructure will be?
So out there, we've got several pieces of that complex. Right now, we're focused on getting the soccer portion of it completed. Soccer's really never had a permanent home. They've had a couple fields at Sister City, and they're okay, but they've played at High Cone for a long time. They've played at several churches and just kind of been spread out. And so for them to have home base there with a concession space, and they can offer tournaments and do some things there, it'll really help the affiliate, help them grow the program, give them the ability and the city ability to market and actually host tournaments. It's going to be a good situation for the school district. They're going to have, second or third location where they could potentially play games. If, say, for example, the field's rained out maybe at the high school, they may be able to go down south and use our facilities. So, again, working with the high school on that. We use their facilities, they use ours. We've got a great school partnership relationship with Charleston Schools. So I think there's just a lot of opportunities out there. We've got some other things in the queue out there on the plans. One of them being pickleball. It's really high on everybody's list that we'd love to see get developed on the north finger, or some north property just north of the new maintenance facility that's going in. And then we've got some other collaborations that we're working on, potentially with EIU. And we've got a concession building that's going to go up hopefully at this fall, that's sort of kitty corner across the street from the maintenance complex that'll serve that area. And then we've carved out that northwest corner by where Recreation Drive eventually will connect up to Nursery, which is really by design set up for a community building someday.
Okay.
So those things, again, will take time, but again, we have a concept plan, and we're marching forward on that.
Has the increased cost in products, hurt the city at all this summer, or how do you factor that in? when you're doing the artwork?
We've seen pretty significant increases in a lot of the products and materials there. And of course, we're in collaboration with Charleston Mayor Charitable on that. They've been very generous in providing additional assistance and support to us on that. And without them, I think that we'd be looking at a definite setback, both on timeline and in the kinds of work that we could get done there. So pretty significant price increase, at least for us on our project out there. I'd say 30 to 40%.
Wow. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yes.
Coles County Fair's coming up. I believe it's what starts this coming Sunday, right?
This coming Sunday, yep.
So what do you expect when the Coles County Fair comes? What kind of business increase and what kind of things do you expect when the Coles County Fair comes to town?
So a lot of people come in from all over to go to the county fair, and the Queen pageant and all the tractor pulls and all the events and activities that go on in the grandstands, and of course the families bring the kids and everybody out for the carnival. So we have a lot of people that are coming in and out of town. So you're going to see the restaurants and all that. Pretty busy next week.
Big numbers.
They are.
When you talk
it's one of those things. Like, I know I've talked with Scott about it, and Steve Pamperin and Alex up at City Hall, and people are wanting to get out. Yes, the cost of things are higher and everything else, but people are wanting to get out and gather. Let's face it, we all for about 2 years didn't get to gather and everything else. So people are wanting to. They want to have something to do. They want to get out and socialize and stuff. So I envision, the fair being definitely something where it brings a lot of people out. I don't know how Bagel Fest was. I don't know if you heard.
The numbers were good, I think, mostly for the Friday night as opposed to Saturday.
Yeah.
I think by the time sometimes Saturday night, people are just done.
What we're hearing, too, is, some families, again, we talk about it with just the cost of things, maybe weren't able to take a family vacation. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're going to do a staycation, and so if they were, I don't know, maybe planning to go to Six Flags or maybe going to go to a theme park or something like that, I'm hearing a lot of folks saying that, hey, they don't have to drive 2.5 or 3 hours. They can go to the fair, and the kids can have a similar experience. So I know a lot of families that I've talked to are looking forward to taking the family to the fair. So
yeah, it's a busy week for us. My son will show pigs on Monday and Tuesday, and then they'll have the 4-H auction on Thursday, and he's got a volunteer out there on Wednesday, and we always go to the tractor pulls and everything else out there. So even for our family, it's a busy week. Like, we look at Fair Week and we're like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So
and like I said, it's always fun when it brings somebody that many people to town and to the county. Do you ever get, when you're out there, at the fairs or Bagel Fest or Red, White, and Blue Days or whatever, do you ever get like odd requests from from citizens that say, I think you should, I don't know, rock this place, or paint this wall, or
some of the requests that I get sometimes is, and of course Mike Ziebke and I joked about this for years, is that our event over here has been free for a long time, and I think at some point Angelia started charging some ticket prices, I think, to sit inside the ballpark or something over there for the Bagel Fest, and we haven't done that yet, but I don't think anybody has any idea as to the cost relative to bringing in some of these big dang acts, and having to be the person that kind of helped Z with bringing those contracts through council over the last 18, 19, 20 years. I'm surprised and somewhat shocked at where the prices have gone. And, people have no idea that it might be $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 to bring in one of these big name acts. And so they start throwing out names that they see in the top 5
Everybody wants
on the
Carrie
country
Underwood
chart.
and Kiss here.
And so then I get the list of the artist and the price range, and it's, no, we're not going to be bringing Carrie Underwood next summer. But we've been, Mike was so good at being able to look at talent and work with the agents that we work with in bringing young talent in. Now we've had Lone Star, we've had, a lot of bands that maybe were a little bit older, that were very successful, and so we tried to have a mix of some young up and coming performers with some older performers, and kind of just work it in that way over the years. And so, but I always people have no idea what it costs. Well,
and the prices. It's just like last year when they brought Jake Maurer, who played football here at EIU, when they had called me and asked if I'd help sponsor, or how much money would Combs Chiropractic sponsor to help get Jake here. I mean, there was a lot of businesses that stepped up, but I mean, Jake is a big name, and a lot of people around here know him, and he plays at Tootsie's. But even to get Jake here, that wasn't cheap. Mitch Titus with the Fair Board was able to pull it off because they're really good friends. So he probably did it for less than what he normally would. But I mean, and that had a good turnout. But like Scott said, a lot of those names that people want us to get here, we would love to get them here too, but not charging anything in the city, being able to do it, there's still a big bill that we put out there for that. But when you ask about questions, there's always questions, Jeff. I mean,
I just love the fun stuff.
There's always, I get them from my own kids or my own kids' friends or parents, and sitting now in the mayor position as long as I have and working, it's just hard to get some of those requests. I mean, it's just tough, and you got to find the right people that want to do those certain things and everything else. But I'm not even going to get into all of the requests that we get on a daily basis.
But they are out there. That's all.
Yes, they're out there.
What have you learned so far? You guys have both been doing this for a while. What have you learned so far that just makes you an effective quality leader?
Honestly, it's trust in the people around you, and it's the relationships and the people around you. I say all the time, like at the city dinner when I spoke, which before I get too far in, kudos to this guy here, 32 plus years into the city, and I said it there, you could not pay me enough to sit and have to do what this man does. So a relationship like him and I have helps out tremendously. And then when you have good people, Scott has built a phenomenal team, and when you have good people in those other leadership positions, and it's easier to delegate, and you have trust in them, and you know that they have the city's best interest in mind, man, it makes things run so much smoother. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Scott?
Yeah, it's not me.
No,
and you will never hear me, if ever, stand up in front of a council meeting and take credit for the stuff that we do. It's the folks that we have working for us. We've got a great group at the division director level that help facilitate the work plan, and working with our elected council and their vision for what they'd like to see us do. Communication's important, and that trusting relationship between myself and our directors and them and their team. We have it, and I couldn't be more thrilled and happy and proud of the management team that we've built. Like Brandon said, we're fortunate. We've got some really good people in our management and second and third level management positions, and then just the folks that are on the ground, boots on the ground every day, like he talked about at the utilities, street department, parks maintenance division, water plant, sewer plant. I went out and met individually with all of our wastewater plant and water treatment plant employees, and I thank all of our public works employees over the last couple weeks. And some of the best unsung heroes are folks that work at our water and wastewater treatment plant that you never see. People don't visit the plants. They don't go step foot in the plants. I mean, you got to know where the waste plant is. You really have to know where it's at to even know it's there. You know, you got a handful of people that work out there that really, just because of their location, don't get a chance to interact much even with us uptown. And so you see these guys maybe once a month, once every 3 months, once every 6 months. Rhett stops by and gets the mail. I try to speak to him every chance I get. Same thing with Trevor at the water treatment plant. I'm telling you, those plants are very sophisticated operations. And if you've never been in one, I'd encourage anybody to take a tour. I'm sure Rhett or Trevor would love to give you a tour. Our intern, Logan Aker, who was in her master's program at Indiana State a year ago, was doing an internship with me, never had been in a waste or water treatment plant. And she left the water treatment plant, I think, on the first tour of the 2 tours, called me and was just going on and on and on about Trevor and his staff and the operation, and she was completely blown away on that facility. In fact,
People don't have a clue. I mean,
they don't have any
no.
idea. And
Yeah.
in fact, she was working weekends for us until I think just this past weekend to make a little extra money on the weekends, working second or third shift on the weekends. So, you know, we're just really fortunate to have the staff that we do, that work well together. I mean, we're all human. We make mistakes, and people get a little grumpy or a little bent out of shape every now and again. But by and large, again, I mean, we've got a really good team, and that trusting relationship, good communication, is where it's all about. You know, that's where it's at, and that's where it all starts.
A couple of minutes left with Brandon Combs and Scott Smith from the city of Charleston. As you look forward, I know you guys are always thinking about what's next. What are the biggest challenges that the city of Charleston's going to have to face here over the next few years?
Well, I think that hoping and praying that Eastern, continues to go in the right direction.
And the rumors are the early numbers are good for the
That's
fund.
good. I'm glad to hear that. And so, because we all recognize that Eastern plays such a vital role in our economy for a lot of folks. And so, I think if you asked around, that is so important. Continuing to support our industrial businesses and partnerships with our industry and filling some of those spaces is very, very important. And then again, we've talked about it, focusing on the local business, collaborating with the chamber, and some of the things that we're seeing on Lincoln Avenue we're really, really excited about. We have our challenges. Again, we've mentioned the cost of goods, financing, a lot of those things, could put the brakes on some things. Just, what was maybe a $5 million project may now be 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the financing rate on top of that does concern you. But like the mayor said, the folks that we're talking to want to see these projects through, so they've got the wherewithal to do it. But you worry about housing and just a lot of things like that, with the increased cost and then the financing rates and everything else, fuel costs, all those things play into that.
Yep. We only got a few seconds left, so you guys didn't have to do the world famous 8 questions, which I know you love, Brandon. So Scott did good enough. He talked to you right out of have to answer any of those tough questions. Offices are open if you'd like to talk to either of these guys. That's the one thing I like about living in Coles County. If you want to talk to the mayor or the city manager of either town, you just can make an appointment and get in. So thanks so much, guys. Next time I see you, it won't be 100 degrees. It'll be around winter. We'll talk about what's next here in Charleston.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Hey, you guys too. Everybody have a great day. We are WEIU. Enjoy your day.